Welcome back to One on One with Mr. U. I'm your host, Mr. U. In studio with us, and Happy New Year, by the way, everybody. In studio with us, Jonathan England, author and teacher of The Messenger of the Kingdom and the creator of The Tale of Two Kingdoms, Babylon versus the Kingdom. Jonathan England's in the house. Happy New Year, sir, and good to see you again. How are you?
Doing great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure. But we had a fantastic conversation last year, and I'm excited about getting into this, man. So let's kind of just start off with some background on you. Where are you from? What kind of childhood did you come up in? What was significant in that time that kind of got you to where you are today?
Originally from Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Okay.
Kind of my origin story. I was a highly trained superhero. Kind of how I distinguish that as you got heroes, victims, and villains. But what it is just ways that people are trying to get love because when you don't have God, you've got a God-shaped hole in your heart, and you're trying to figure out how to fill that void. And so we substitute attention for love, and then attention doesn't do it, so then we go for significance. And so we have different little mechanisms, tools that we use. Mine was the hero. I was a highly trained hero. So a hero needs victims, someone who has a problem, and then the hero saves the victim from their problem. And then, yay, that means the victim's like, wow, that means you love me because you saved me. And then the victim going, yeah, you're so awesome for saving me. And so the hero feels like he gets a hit. So that's like how my mom always had problems. I'm sure many people can have that same story.
Sure.
But I had an older brother who had muscular dystrophy, and which is a terminal disease. So at 12 years old, he was 16, I was 12. He passed away, and yeah, thank you. But that evening, we knew this was the night he was going to die, and it was actually 2 days after Christmas, and we'd watched a few movies together because we knew, we tried to stay up as late as we could because we knew that it would be once he goes to sleep, he's not waking up. So my mom sent me into the room as the hero, and she says, your brother, he's suffering and he's holding on for us. And so you did just go tell him that it's okay to die so he can let go.
Oh, wow.
And I did that. Mission accepted. 12 years old. I didn't realize that this was an egoic construct or anything when I was doing it, but mission accepted. I'm going to be a good kid. I'm going to be a good brother. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. And I said, it's okay to die, but I didn't mean it on the inside. It wasn't okay on the inside. And it disconnected me. Like I had to split in a way to say that. Wow. And now my brother said something back to me. His last words to me, it took me 20 years I heard the words, but it took me 20 years to know what he was saying. And what his last words were to me is he says, John, I'm not dying, I'm waking up. He's like, was stuck in a wheelchair for most of his life, couldn't feed himself. And so he was like, I'm going to go home to where I belong, to heaven with my father, with God. And I'm going to be like a little child. I'm going to get to play. I'm going to run. And like, he was actually okay. He was okay the whole time. It was me and my mom and my family. We're the ones that were not okay. But that in that instant, all change happens in an instant. The moment you make a decision, and decide means to cut off from all other options. So that was a decision, subconscious. I wasn't aware of what I was making, but I had decided to cut off from God because one of the things that I was like, I lied to say it's okay and to try to mean it. So I had to lie to myself, but now I couldn't feel anymore. But what was going on in my mind is like, okay, I just lost my brother. I just lost love. And I lost God because I'm like, if there's a God, then either something wrong with him or there's something wrong with me because this should not happen. And so that spiraled me. And for 20 years, I kept spiraling further and further. And I wound up becoming a broke, ignorant, blackout, drunk, evangelist, atheist, beach bum. Like it was my job to convince people God didn't exist. And so that's how it all started.
Wow. That's not a person that I met. So there's definitely some transformation, and I want to definitely get into that. But you sparked something in me I want to ask you about before we start getting into more of your story and what you're doing now. When you mentioned about your brother, now I understand you probably have evolved in your thinking a lot more now than then. But I want to ask you something because I think our listeners really need to hear the answer to this question. Even if they don't know it, I think you do because of what I know about some of my listeners. But when you experience death, it's supposed ideally it's supposed to change you. It's supposed to cause you to see things differently. Maybe perhaps appreciate your life more. Maybe perhaps live a life of gratefulness. Perhaps a life more of service and humility towards other people. What would you say was the biggest change in you that you know, not your family, but in you yourself, Jonathan, because of the death you experienced and the powerful impact that had on you? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it was the opposite for me because I was a really good kid. I'd never made a B my entire life. I was like good in every way, the best you could be good. And then this
Okay.
moment, it's like everything that I thought I was had collapsed. And like, well, who am I now? What am I now? And because, I was my brother's hero, I was my mom's hero, and I just failed. My brother's dead, my mom already suffering. And then right after that, my mom goes and tries to kill herself. And so here I'm alone,
Oh,
12 years old. My mom's trying to kill herself in a bathroom. And that, thankfully, there's a guy who delivered Lay's chips every week that was her friend, and he showed up. And but then right after that, then she's moves us down to Florida, away from all my friends. And after that, it was just, I was gone. Like, I don't know. And then I get to Florida, and I'm from Kentucky, and you get out of Florida and there's all these surfers and skateboarders. And now I'm like super loser, and they're making fun of me and, kicking ants in my face. And I just shut down, and then I just started making D's and F's. And it's like, yeah, that was dark. It just began and just a journey. And I still was trying to be a good kid, but it was just, I was hopeless. I was lost, and I didn't know up from down or what to do, and spiraling. So it didn't, I mean, I guess it's humility. It's humbled me but I mean, it took a long time for it to humble me for it to open back up, because I was so closed off at that. Cause I just hurt so bad. I've always had such a sensitive heart, and, to open it back up, it took a long time and a lot of wild journeys.
No, totally understand. I got a question for you on that as well. For you guys that are watching and listening, first, thank you for doing that. Thank you for tuning into Jonathan's story today. If you want to see some episodes from previous shows on 101, in your upper right-hand corner of your screen is a QR code. Please go ahead and grab that. It will allow you to have access to all the shows that we've done over the past several years, and you'll be able to see up to speed how the show's been evolving and hearing great stories from guests like Jonathan. So thanks for doing that. QR codes in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. All right, Jonathan. So I think I understand what you're saying. Help me bridge the gap between where you were as a surfer dude in Florida, transplanted from Kentucky, to where you are right now. What do you believe is the biggest turning point, or the conflict, or the challenge that brought you to where you are now? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, there's a series of them. The first one was I rear-ended a car at a stoplight one night when I was blackout drunk. Wound up, there happened to be a cop sitting at the stoplight, but I didn't know I was driving until I hit the car, and I'm like, where am I? I'm like, oh crap, I'm driving. I threw the truck in reverse and tried to run, but the cop was sitting at the stoplight, and he pulled me over, half a mile down the road in a Walmart parking lot, took me to jail. Sitting in jail was when it began. The turnaround started to happen, because I kept hearing the voice was saying, you could have killed someone. And I'm aware, yes, I could have killed someone, but I didn't. No one got hurt. Thankfully, thank God, no one got hurt, but they could have. And the voice just, you could have killed someone. And now I could no longer run. I could no longer numb, no drugs, no alcohol. I could no longer hide. It was just me and me stuck there in jail. August 24th. And the reason I know it's August 24th was because that's my mom's birthday. And the only person I know who to call is my mom. So the shame just pounding on, because I'm supposed to be her hero. And now here I am, just this big giant failure. But that voice, I started to hear it a little deeper, because it wasn't going to stop. And I'm like, all right, if you're not going to stop, I'm going to listen. Why do you keep saying that? And what I started to realize was it saying that you could have killed someone. I'm like, yes. So why do you keep saying that? It says, because if one of your actions could hurt someone, what could another one of your actions do, John? I'm like, what could help someone? So if your actions can hurt people or help people, what does that mean about your actions? Well, it means they actually do matter. And if your actions matter, what does that mean about you, John? Well, it means I matter. And because now I'm on the hook for responsibility now that I matter, because I didn't think that I mattered. So someone who doesn't think that they matter, my decisions don't matter, then what does it matter? I can just get blackout drunk and drive. That was the fruit. So you know them by their fruit. That was the fruit of my identity of an orphan separate from my father. And then in that moment, it shifted. I'm like, I'm back on the hook for responsibility. And I made a decision because I've always been an all-in guy. So when I was drunk, I was blackout drunk. I didn't just get
Yeah,
drunk. I'm all in.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I made a decision that from this day forward, the world's going to be a better place because I exist, not a worse one. And I made that decision. I didn't know how that was going to happen because I'm sitting in jail, but there was a light at the end of the tunnel now. And so I start going in that direction. And what next is I said, all right, well, how am I going to do this? I'm like, well, maybe I can build a family and give them a great life. Okay, well, how am I going to do that? I can't even take care of myself. And so I met a girl, wound up, we start dating. And then I was flipping channels one night, saw an infomercial, and it was a guy teaching real estate investing. No money, no credit, real estate investing. I'm like, I qualify. I don't have any money or credit.
No money or credit.
And it was $10,000. I'm like, I don't have that, but I wound up finding that money, got resourceful, found the money, signed up for the thing. Within 18 months, I'd made $400,000. Within 2 years,
wow.
Within 2 years, I built a multi-million-dollar empire. And so, boom, shift happened. Okay. And now I built this beautiful life for my girlfriend at the time. She had teenage twin boys. And then I brought my mom in the house. And what I did not realize was I still had a hero on me. I was still atheist at this point. So I was still playing God. And I was thinking that I could make all these people happy. I didn't realize that there was a God-shaped hole inside of all of us that only God could fill. And I really thought I could make them happy. And I gave everything. Again, all-in guy. I gave everything. So now we got the house, the bank account, everything. We go on vacations all the time. Nobody has to work. Yet everyone's getting more and more miserable. And I'm like, I don't understand. And it got to the point where now my girlfriend is taking 20 Oxycontin a day. The twin boys are punching holes in the wall, punching each other in the face. They're addicted to drugs. And then my mom is on hospice, given less than a month to live. And that was it was another floor.
Rock bottom kind of deal.
Yeah. And, I say sometimes we fall into heaven through the floor of hell. And, because it took that much for me to submit, to surrender. Like for me to admit that I can't do it. Because I thought I could. I'm like, I thought I truly was like, I'm going to make these people happy if it kills me. Well, I died. And it was either my body died or my ego died. And so it got so bad that I just laid down my head and I said, I failed. I'm a failure. And I'd never said that before. It was like always, it ain't over till I win kind of thing. But this time I'm like, I gave my whole soul. There was nothing left. And I just said, I failed. I'm a failure. And all of a sudden this weight lifts off my shoulders. And I'm like, what was that? And what just lifted was that I realized that everything that I thought that I had to be, it was impossible. I couldn't be it. I couldn't be their savior. I couldn't be their hero. I couldn't be. And so now I was checkmated. And if I'm not that, what am I? Who am I? And then that was the opening began. And then I went on a journey. That's when I became spiritual, but I went down paths. I became, I became like New Age. I became Buddhist. I became Hindu. I did like all the stuff to really go down all these journeys until I finally found my way home to Jesus.
I love it, man. I love it. I want to get into, with the second half of the show, I want to kind of get into some of the work that you're doing. This is so interesting. I almost don't know where to start, but you coined the phrase, own nothing and be happy. Now, usually, me personally, because I've been here for a little while, despite my youthful appearance, I've been around a little bit. And when I hear that kind of thing, it's usually from somebody who not only doesn't have anything, but they never had anything. You built an empire, multi-millions of dollars. You know what it's like to have, but you're saying to your listeners and your followers, the people who, look up to you, you're saying own nothing and be happy. Explain what that means and where that comes from, Jonathan. Go ahead.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah. So I actually didn't coin the phrase. It was from the World Economic Forum, from the Agenda 2030. They said you're going to own nothing and be happy because they're planning on, wiping out everybody's bank's account, give everybody a universal basic income and a social credit score and digital ID, and they're going to own everything, and you're just going to rent it from them as long as you keep your credit score high. And so that's one kingdom. That's the kingdom of Babylon, where you're a slave to a sick and dying system. But the other kingdom, own nothing and be happy. So this is the tale of two kingdoms. And the other kingdom, the truth is we don't own anything anyway because it's all God's. Because in a kingdom, there's a king. And who owns everything is the king. And so my king, Jesus Christ, he owns this, all of creation. He owns this whole world. He owns everything. My house, my spouse, my body, my everything. And so in that other world, the other kingdom, you have to fake like you're happy. You got to put the fake smile on, because, you know, in communism, like you start talking wrong about the government, then you better put that smile on. So your social credit score goes down. So it's a fake happy, but I truly am happy. And so I'm not an owner of anything. I'm a steward. I steward God's stuff, and I take really great care. And when you're faithful with the little, he gives you more. And so when you actually are happy, faithful with the little, have the attitude of gratitude for what he's given you, stewardship of, I don't own this. And it's cool because, you know, I used to own all this stuff, but you reap what you sow. And if you sow owning, you actually are reaping owning, which you're getting owned. Because those things that you think you own, your big house, you don't own that. That thing owns you. And, you know, don't pay your taxes on it. See where it goes, right? It's never yours.
It's a real thing.
It's submitting and yielding it all over to God, and having the right relationship that he's the king. He owns everything, and he's going to determine if I'm going to steward things or not. And so we call it divine law, which we use 508s, PMAs, and trusts to assist us in stewarding outside of Babylon on a foundation that's going to last, because as the Bible says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And so if there's no succession, there is no success. So it's about leaving this a legacy. It's not don't lay up for yourselves, but do lay up for your children's children's children. And so keep building things, and you can either battle the beast or you can build the kingdom. And so that's what we're doing, is building the kingdom. And I'm happy. I'm happy that I don't own anything, but I'm stewarding a lot, stewarding villages.
Yeah, I want to get into that, man. The story is amazing. I don't know how much time we can take to do this, but I'm hoping we can get into some of the deep parts that we discussed ourselves. So you're talking about legacy. You're talking about leaving something for your children, your children's children. Talk to us about what you're building. Break it down to the lowest common denominator if it's too much for us to handle. But what are you building? How did you build it? I think I understand the why you built it. I think you already highlighted that for us just now. But what are you building? How did you build it? And what's the point of the building? You know, just kind of explain it to us real quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're building villages. So we're down in Costa Rica. Me and my wife, Mel, are down. We are the two that came together first, and then there's a whole community that. Oh, here's my wife, Mel. Oh no, you come in and say. There's
Mel. So good to meet you. I heard so much about you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
You don't have to leave if you don't want to. That's up to Jonathan.
Okay, I'll just be around. I'm always around.
You guys' story.
Okay, I'll have fun.
Okay. Good to meet you.
Yeah, and so we went on a wild and crazy journey. Gave up everything, laid it all down. Yeah, you know, again, I went from homeless to homes, like, you know, a lot of homes to like homeless again. And we went on this crazy journey on down here to Costa Rica because God called us. God said, go. And we went not knowing where we're going. And then, we didn't have anything even here in Costa Rica. I had like $5,000 in the account, but then God sent us to this property and said, that's your village. But the guy wanted $800,000. And I'm like, well, I can't give you $800,000, but I'll give you $1 million. He's like, what? And I said, but you're going to have to finance me. And so we worked out a deal to finance that property. It was, you got to put $250,000 down and $250,000 a year for the next few years. And I said, okay, deal. I had 30 days to come up with that money. And then miracle money poured in. 250 grand came in.
I love that. I love when that happens.
Yeah. And I actually I just actually bought the website the other day, miraclemoney.com. And so
Congratulations,
and I just launched a book now. I wrote the book Miracle Money and just launched that literally just yesterday. I just launched it yesterday. But last time we talked, it was just barely an idea. And now it's real. Yeah. It became because I'm looking at the story of like I manifested so much miracle money because I work for God. When you work for God, God works for you. And if God places the order, he's going to write the check. And he did over and over. So we're building these villages, and God told me, he's like, you're going to build these, and they're like arcs, metaphorically speaking. You know, God's not going to flood the world again, but he's coming with fire. So they're arcs, they're fireproof arcs to where they float. But we've got sovereign food, water, shelter, energy, community, and currency. We're completely sovereign because the ultimate form of control is dependency. And if you're dependent upon a sick system, you're going to be sick. And so we're not dependent anymore. We're free. We're free from. So when the beast system gets deployed, we don't have to bow to the beast in order to live. Like we're cool. Like, I don't have to bow or die. We already died. Like those who love their life will surely, in this world, will surely lose it. But we laid ours down. We gave up everything and just followed him. And so he's given us and now we're like seed holders, birthing a new world, a new reality that all of us in our hearts, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better world. But we weren't born into that world. We were born into sin. But we were given free will, and our free will, we didn't get to decide to be born into sin, but we do get to decide to come out because of Jesus. He gave us that door. And so if you'll make the decision to come out, it's going to cost you everything, but that everything you'll realize was nothing in the first place. It was upside down, backwards reality. And we do the wrong thing so long, the right thing feels wrong. So it feels wrong at first to let it all go. And then to just completely, to be a needy dependent, but needy dependent upon God, and where you don't know where your next meal is coming from, and you just keep saying yes and just listening. And so we've built this first village. It's complete now. We have 40 people living here from all different ages, from 2 to 82. And then we've got a second one. This was always the prototype. We got a second one that's 10 times the size. That the property, we're already got food growing everywhere over there, and we're going to start building the community center out soon. And then we're just going to keep expanding it. As God says, be fruitful and multiply. And, we're establishing God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. Jesus didn't come to get us into heaven. He came to get heaven into us so he can get it into the world through us, because that was the original intent. Divine design was for us to be managers of his stuff, but we mismanaged what he gave us. And so he gave us the blueprint, how to manage it. And so that's what I'm going straight to the Bible. How do we manage this? What are we meant to do? And so we are establishing it all submitted to the king, under his authority, and then just doing what he says to do and building these kingdoms and literally, physically establishing his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. Not just talking about it, but walking about it.
I love it. I believe I totally get, based on our multiple conversations, I think I understand exactly what you're doing. I have met some people who've been interviewed on the show that have talked about being off grid, being unplugged and such, and for the same reason, to kind of just disconnect themselves from the systems. You and Mel have built basically an off-grid Garden of Eden for the most part. Talk to us, and I want you to break this down. I want you to really simplify this for us. Simplify what life is like on a regular basis, because I don't want to live in the idealistic world, because I know that people, they hang out there for a few minutes, but they won't stay there, because that sounds like it's just, I could never do that. So kind of break down, simplify, not to glorify, but just share truthfully what it is. How does life look like in your kingdom, in your off-grid Garden of Eden? What does it look like? About the people, the relationships, the activities and the events, the view of the world, how you communicate information, security. I want to hear about all of those things, because that's what I think about. Did that make sense? Is that a good question to ask you?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So how we function together is our core message. It's Earth Waking. It's Earth Waking Outreach is our 508c1a nonprofit for purpose. But the core message is your only job for being alive is to be you. The only way you can possibly fail is by trying to be something you're not, and your difference is the only thing that can make a difference. And so we're all members of the body of Christ, and each of us serve different functions. And so we work interdependently. Like out in the old world, Babylon, it's like dependent, codependent. Some people make it to independent, but most people don't even make it to that. But the baseline in the kingdom is interdependent. That's where we function from. And so we all have like our roles. Like we do different things. Some people love cooking, so that's what they do. Some people love cleaning, that's what they do. Some people love gardening, that's what they do. And so we all have the different things that everyone's doing, and we're just functioning. Now we all showed up here as very dysfunctional people. I mean, I don't know how. I did not know how dark the world was that we came from was until 40 of us are smashed in here together and having 40 dysfunctional people figure out how to function. And it's been quite a journey. We've got a thing every Monday. We call it, like, we eat together every breakfast every Monday, every morning. And then we have live music every Sunday. I'm in the band. We have just an awesome stage.
Somehow I knew that. that.
Yeah. We got a swimming pool. We got a movie theater with surround sound. We got a gym. I mean, it's like, it's we're a beautiful, and we got a song we all sing all the time. It just pops out of everybody. Like, how does it get even better than this? Because it just gets better and better. Now but there is the dark. There's the stuff that we got to go through, because, you know, all coming through, born into sin, all of us. And so, and, you know, but we've got a couple things. Is radical transparency is one of our key things. And also we put the fun in dysfunction. Now, we don't actually put it there. It's already there. You know, we don't have to have dysfunction to have fun. But if we do have fun, what's right in the middle of it? FUN. If we do have dysfunction, what's right in the middle is FUN, is fun. And the bigger the dysfunction, the bigger the fun. And that's Jesus' words. He says, count it all joy. All trials, tribulation, whatever you're going through, count it all joy. And so I'm I'm all in guy, and I listen and I do as he says. And so we actually created an event every Monday called Dysfunction Junction, where we put the fun and dysfunction, because you face it within or without, by chance or by choice. And the most successful generals choose the time and the place for the battle. So we pick Monday, the family comes together and we deal with it. Like, if you cough up your dysfunction, or you point out somebody else's, and everybody's fair game. Like, if hey, there's just, now you might point at somebody's dysfunction and it's actually yours, but how you win the game, because we made a game out of it, because, you know, Adam and Eve bit the fruit, and that was horrible. But what was worse is what they did next. They went and hid. You know, they, instead of going, the only one who could have helped them, they ran away from, they hid from, they lied to. So because they had so much shame, so much guilt. And so we turn it into a game, so it's no more shame. And like, cough up the fur ball, because I always say, resistance breeds persistence. What you fight against, you create. But when you can let go of that resistance, you know, you can, I say, lose the loser. Lose the loser and find the way. And how you lose the loser is you stop judging yourself, and you receive the grace. And so you cough up the fur ball, drop off your fig leaf. And so how we act, because if it's in any of us, it's in all of us to some degree. And so how you win the game is you be the biggest loser, because the biggest loser actually loses their loser, because you're not fighting to hold it anymore. You show it. Here it is. Here's my skeletons. Here's my darkness. And then we deal with it. And so grace without transformation is not grace at all. So we receive the grace, but there's the repentance. Here's my thing. And then we put it on the altar, and then we move forward. I just went on a big rant there. I know you had asked a lot of questions, so you can guide me on.
I'll simplify those questions so we can get through those. So tell me briefly how you guys deal with electronic communication, how you deal with security in your village, and then kind of talk to me about food sustainability. That's something that we talked about in our pre-interview, and I wanted to bring it out there. So electronic communications, your touch with the outside world, how you get information, food sustainability, and of course, security measures for people who may want to take advantage of what you've built.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, technology, we're not Amish, even though we do have multiple Amish people. There's two guys that grew up Amish that live here, and they are awesome. But yeah, like, I'm on internet right now. So we've got internet. We've got really great internet down here. We're connected to the world, you know, through internet and everything.
Okay.
And so we got solar. I'm in my home right here, and we got this is not on the grid at all. It's completely just solar powered. And I got a nice air conditioner in here. Even though Costa Rica, you don't really need an air conditioner, well, except for if, like, I'm in my office right now. So, but yeah, I've got but it's like, I didn't even realize that solar panel really could have air conditioners and lights. Like, we're literally, it's just free energy. It's the coolest thing. So the majority of the village is all on solar. We still have, because the original we've built like a lot of homes and things here, but the original was tied to the grid. So there's still some that's running on the grid, but we're completely fully functional without grid power whatsoever. We got our own sovereign water here. We've got multiple greenhouses that are producing lots of fruit. We got a whole bunch of chickens. We got several ponds that growing tilapia in, and we got just fruit trees galore. And then, yeah. And so just, I mean, thousands and thousands of, so it's just, we're not fully, all of our meals don't come completely off the land yet. We're moving, we're moving this year. We'll do about 5 meals a week will have just come completely off the land. But we're moving that. We could, like, if we had to just, shut the ark doors and we're good, we would be fine. Just wouldn't be as enjoyable, in the garden as much. I mean, we do have bees, so we got honey, but we don't have our own milk yet. So
okay.
We do have honey.
Water somehow, so that's pretty awesome. I was just going to ask you about the like how are you pulling that one off? Okay, I want to sidetrack though.
But there's we got goat. There's a guy that has a goat guy that brings milk and cheese like right out, like it's just milk right off the goat right there, and it's just delicious. I hated goat milk until I got here, and this is the most delicious milk I've ever had in my life. He just comes right to her because it's like local. It's real, like the real person with the real goat. You can go pet that thing, and he's happy. He's out there playing around, So, and it's as far as security, like the main thing is we got divine dome. It's all God, but I mean, we just got little gates at the door, but it's we don't ever have any problems whatsoever because again, you say you face it within or without, by chance or by choice. So we face all of our stuff by choice. Like because you find the lie before the lie finds you. You find the fear before it finds you. Because it will find you. It'll hunt you down because wherever you go, there you are. So that's what we're doing every Monday, and all the time doing the inner work, so we don't have to spend most of our time putting out fires. We're doing we're doing it beforehand. We're doing it before it comes. We're going at it, and so we don't really have like external problems. Nobody really ever gets sick here. Because
that's a great benefit.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a hospital only 25 minutes away, a really nice hospital. If somebody did, chop the arm off or something, there you go. If you fell, I mean, we're in Costa Rica. We got people got machetes, like we're macheting everything all the time. Some things get but nothing ever really happens, and everyone's always really great. And so, but we got waterfalls everywhere. We got jungles. We got mountains. We got the ocean. We're only 12 minutes away from the beach. We got blue morpho butterflies. We got toucans, monkeys. Like, it's the coolest thing ever. Bananas ever. We got just here on this property. We got like I think 17 different types of bananas. That like we got blue bananas there, and they're called like blue Java, and they're like ice cream bananas. Like,
I've heard of those. I just don't know where I heard of it from. But yeah, okay, I remember that.
We got white pineapples, like that just are just the sweetest thing. I mean, just there's fruits that I never even heard of, and but these bananas, I thought I loved bananas and when I got here, I'm like, holy heaven, like there's bananas, like, but there's next level bananas, y'all. Like, if anybody listening right now, if you like bananas, come to Costa Rica, and there's some for real bananas.
I love that, man. This is great. Thank you for painting the picture, man, because it helps me out. I'm like, now I'm trying to visualize this and see this. Thank you for the description. I got 2 more questions for you before we end our show today.
All right.
You've been a fantastic guest, and thanks for letting the whole world meet Mel. She's beautiful. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, so my first last question. Now, people might be thinking this, or they might not be. It could just be me. This is how my mind works. How do you guys avoid the law of turning into a cult?
Well, that's why the Bible is so important.
I was a part of how I know. So I'm like, this is.
Oh, you was a part of a cult?
Yeah, I was part of an Islamic cult.
Yeah. Well, I was saying the Bible, but I guess the Islamic cult uses the Bible too.
It was more definitely a cult, but I was involved with for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes, the Bible as the plumb line, but then it's like great humility. Like, it's just that's our core. Like, you got to be humble. And again, we're facing all of our stuff by choice, and everyone's fair game. And so we're just like, it's humility is the key. I mean, Bible, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, pray every day, it's without ceasing. And but yeah, I mean, I could see how easy it could occur for sure.
Yeah. Now you made me add a question to my I only have one more question, now I have a second one. So I'm gonna add one more. I promise I won't do it again this time. It's my only time. Vetting process for people to come into your community. I know you're building more, and I know that people with the same mindset are probably doing that in places that we haven't heard of yet. We just starting to see it properly. But do you guys have a vetting process for somebody who wants to be a part of your community and be a part of what you're doing? Is there a prerequisite? Do they have to qualify in some way? How does that work? That's my next to last question. I got one more.
My wife Mel just came in and said, "Great question," because she's been getting on to me Yeah.
Your Mel, I'm your biggest fan.
I've been I just want to welcome everyone, and like the worse the better kind of guy. And
Okay,
we did. We brought in a whole lot of some really the bottom of the barrel. We're picking them like Jesus did. But we are now at a phase like we got our core found the group again. There's 40 of us, and many of us have been here for. There's several of us that were all on the journey. We've been on a journey together for several years.
Okay.
But so we're actually just shifting to where it is more. Actually, just last night we launched a new program called the Kingdom Fellowship Council, and we were launching it, I was distinguishing kind of what this is. We built the ark is done now, and we've had the doors open, but the doors have now shut, and we're floating. At first, because I saw this vision, it looked like we had a moat around the ark, but it's actually we're on a lake, but it's like a lake of fire because it's already starting. Like the lake of fire, like it's happening in the world. I just heard Elon Musk say the other day that we've reached the singularity with AI, which that's the event horizon. Like there's just so much crazy stuff going on, and so we're floating now. The ark doors have shut. Now there still is a little door where you can come in, but yeah, there's much more of a filtration process at this point because and we had a dude come in that was as soon as he gets here, he's like, what if I'm the Antichrist? I'm like, dude, you're not, whatever. You're like a little teddy bear. You're not the Antichrist. Well, that dude definitely turns out to be a full-on representative of the Antichrist. That guy came in here grabbing people by the head. Like we do deliverance here, delivering people of demons. Well, he was delivering people of Jesus. Like he'd grab them by the head and like, Jesus, come out of them. Jesus, like I was like crazy stuff. And he got some people, like, I don't know how, but like literally people just got sucked in this darkness and just he took them off like the Pied Piper. Like it was just crazy. And so we're like, all right, it's time to change some, let's not just welcome everybody in anymore. We'll still do outreach to help everyone out there, but it's a little bit different to bringing them in. And so I said this, the door to the ark is closed. We do have a little door where you can come in, but there's a guard at the gate basically. And there's a little ferry that goes across the lake of fire, and you hop on the ferry, but it's a lake of fire. So make sure you're really willing to go all the way. And are you following Jesus? Like for real following Jesus? Like he says, you got to hate your family. You got to hate your life. You want to follow me. Are you willing to let everything and a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And in these two kingdoms, Satan owns the fence. So you got to get off the fence. Are you all in with Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? Is he your king? Are you willing to receive the gift of his grace? Because it's easy to love God, but the hard thing is to let God love you because you don't have any control over that. And so are you willing to let God love you? Are you willing to stop fighting for your smallness and your suffering and just enjoy the kingdom? I just never realized how difficult it is for people to actually just receive God's gifts and grace. And, our inheritance, like it's the hardest thing for people to do. Because they're so used to being an orphan who's hustling, grinding to survive until they die and, do the wrong thing so long the right thing feels wrong. To just receive the kingdom. Yeah. So we're filtering people a little bit better now. But it literally really just started last night.
The story of the rich young ruler probably will answer that question about why it seems so hard to make that transition. And my wife and I have been very active in deliverance ministry, but I don't think we've ever seen that one. We've seen a lot of stuff that people wouldn't believe we can see. But so that's a new one. But last question before we end our show today, if you want to get in contact with Jonathan and Mel and kind of find out more about what they're doing and the village that they're building in the off-grid Garden of Eden, website's going to be on the screen right now. You can catch it, www.divinelawmasterclass.com, divinelawmasterclass.com. You can contact him there. At the end of the show, I'll have him reach out to you if you want to reach out to him via some other social media platforms. If you have those, Jonathan, I'll have you share that at the end of the show after we answer this last question. So for me, I want to just ask this one question and I'll let you go. How can someone begin to exit Babylon while still living within the societal state that they're in today? That could be a loaded question, but with as much brevity as possible. Try to answer that question with somebody who's thinking about this and they're tired of the system, they're tired of being on the grid, they're tired of the programs and the strongholds and all of those things. How can somebody exit Babylon where it makes sense, but how can they practically do that? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, the extended answer you'll find at Divine Law Masterclass. Like that's literally what that class is.
Okay.
Go divinelawmasterclass.com. It has the whole, there it is. So you just showed that already, but short, I mean, it's seek first the kingdom. So it's an inside job. So seeking first the kingdom, and God says you can either serve money or you can serve God, but you can't serve two masters. And we were all indoctrinated, domesticated to see money as our source. Like if we want to have a good life, you want to have a good life, don't you? Yeah. Well, how do I do that? Well, you got to make good money. Well, how to do that? We got to get a good job. Well, how to do that? Got to make good grades. Well, how to do that? Well, you got to regurgitate these good answers that we programmed into. So it's be not conformed to the patterns of this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, get out of the world and get into the word and let that transform you. And again, I just launched Miracle Money, like literally last night, miraclemoney.com. That book, it's going to flip, 6 is the number of lie and the 9 is the number of truth, but a 6 is just the upside down 9. And so we've been born into sin upside down. And that it's like the relationship with money. When you flip that thing over and actually God becomes, because when Adam and Eve bit into the fruit, they became orphans where they got to hustle and grind and fight to survive. That's what he said. The curse is now you're just going to have to hustle and grind until you die. But when you flip it back and you receive grace, you are adopted in, and now you're a royal child of God. And then what happens is God gives you vision. Without vision, the people perish, but he's going to give you a vision. He's going to make you the king of your thing or the queen of your scene and give you vision. And he's going to give you provision for that vision. And so it's making God your source. Again, renewing your mind, inside job, making God your source, and then taking the steps. Don't check on your bank account. Whenever God says go, if your bank says no, don't listen to your bank. Just say yes. And he'll do it. Provision will move. Providence will move.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for being on here. This is Jonathan and Mel England. They are the authors of Tale of Two Kingdoms and the Divine Law Masterclass.com, and they build an off-grid Garden of Eden. Please don't think it's strange. The systems that we're in, you can see, just turn on your local news every night, you can tell that things are changing and not necessarily for our good. So these fantastic people are doing something great. So if you want to check out what they're doing and get more information, even have some questions or objections, I'm sure Jonathan and Mel are ready to field those. They've been doing it for years now. www.divinelawmasterclass.com. Is there another way that they can reach you and Mel that you would prefer along with the website? Is there social media or anything?
If you go to earthwakingvillage.com, that's our virtual village, and you can plug in there. It's a social media platform. You can plug in there and you can find me directly, Jonathan England, and you can message me directly right in there in our
earthwakingvillage.com.
Yeah.
Spell like this?
Yeah. Wow, you typed that quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I want to make sure they got it. I didn't have it prior, so no capitalization. English major me is dying right now, but I want to get it out there before we close the show. earthwakingvillage.com. Thank you again, Jonathan, man, for jumping in here and sharing some of your vision and your story and your life and your wife. You guys are doing a great thing out there, and I'm excited to see more of that because I think we at a place now we need to start thinking about it. So thank you again for doing this, Jonathan, and for being a part of this, and for all you guys watching and listening. In the upper right-hand corner is our QR code. You can grab all of our flagship interview shows on One-on-One with Mr. U. Of course, you can go to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review and a comment about the show. I'd appreciate that personally, or go to our YouTube channel and subscribe there, or do both. You definitely would appreciate it to help us out with our mission and our vision. Thanks again for watching and listening. I'm Mr. U. That's Jonathan and Mel England. Have a great day. Thanks for watching One-on-One with Mr. U. Have a